What if the life you are living right now is not the result of big decisions, but the result of the smallest things you do every single day? Think about that. Not the dreams you talk about, not the plans you save for someday, but the quiet habits no one sees. Because here is the uncomfortable truth: your future is not built in moments of inspiration. It is built in moments of repetition. Every day you wake up and you vote for the person you are becoming. You vote with how you start your morning. You vote with what you tolerate. You vote with what you avoid. And most people think they are stuck because life is unfair, or because motivation disappeared, or because luck never showed up. But the real reason is simpler and harder to accept. They keep repeating the same behaviors and expect a different result. We admire disciplined people and call them lucky. We admire successful people and call them gifted. But we ignore the daily systems they follow when no one is watching. Greatness is not loud. It does not announce itself. It grows quietly through consistency. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Here is why this matters so deeply. If you rely on motivation, you will fail. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes. Systems are intentional. They stay. When you design your day with purpose, you do not need willpower. You need commitment. And commitment is not a feeling. It is a decision you renew daily. Think of a person you respect deeply. Not because of what they say, but because of how they live. Their character was not built overnight. It was shaped by thousands of small choices. Choosing to show up when it was uncomfortable. Choosing to practice when no one applauded. Choosing to say no to short-term comfort for long-term meaning. This is where everything begins. Not with a massive life overhaul. Not with a dramatic promise. It begins with awareness. Awareness of your patterns. Awareness of your excuses. Awareness that what you do daily is what you become. If you want a different life, you do not need a new personality. You need a new pattern. And patterns are built one intentional day at a time. So pause for a moment and listen carefully, because the habits you protect today are quietly shaping your confidence, your leadership, your relationships, and your future identity more than any goal you write or speech you hear right now. Most people think change requires intensity. They believe they must feel ready, fired up, inspired. But readiness is a myth. You are never fully ready. You act and readiness follows. The problem is not that people lack desire. The problem is that desire is unreliable. It fades the moment discomfort appears. That is why daily behavior matters more than intention. Consider how identity actually forms. You do not decide who you are once. You prove who you are repeatedly. Each action is evidence. When you keep promises to yourself, you build trust with yourself. When you break them, you weaken that trust. Over time, confidence is simply the memory of promises kept. Insecurity is the memory of promises broken. This is not psychology, it is pattern recognition. Think of someone who says they want to be healthy, yet chooses convenience over discipline every day. Their words say one thing, their actions say another. Eventually the actions win. Not because the person is weak, but because systems always defeat goals when pressure arrives. The body, the mind, the career, the relationships all respond to what is practiced. Here's a simple story. Two people start at the same place, same skills, same opportunities. One chooses to read 10 pages a day. The other chooses to scroll for 30 minutes. No difference tomorrow. No difference next week. But fast forward 1 year. One has read thousands of pages, learned new ideas, expanded perspective. The other has consumed noise. The gap did not come from talent. It came from repetition. This is why discipline feels hard at first. You are asking your future self to be stronger than your present habits. But habits are powerful because they remove choice. Once something becomes automatic, it no longer drains energy. At the beginning, you must decide. Later, you simply do. The mistake people make is trying to change everything at once. That creates overwhelm, then failure, then shame. Real change is quiet. It is choosing one behavior you can repeat even on bad days, especially on bad days, because those days are the vote that matters most. When you understand this, you stop chasing motivation and start designing your environment. You remove friction from good habits and add friction to bad ones. You stop asking how you feel and start asking what the system requires today. That is how identity shifts. Slowly, then suddenly. And when the shift happens, people will call it overnight success, never seeing the years of quiet, disciplined days that built the moment you are standing in now today forward. There is a moment in everyone's life when they realize information is not the problem. We live in a world where advice is everywhere. You can learn anything in seconds. But knowledge without execution changes nothing. Knowing what to do and doing it are two very different things, and the bridge between them is daily action. Think about leadership for a moment. Leadership is not a title, it is a habit. You become a leader by how you show up consistently, not when it is convenient, but when it costs you something. People are always watching patterns. They may listen to your words, but they follow your behavior. What you do daily teaches others who you are. There is a powerful story hidden in ordinary routines. A parent who comes home tired yet still listens. A professional who practices after work when no one demands it. A student who studies even when results are delayed. None of these moments feel heroic. That is exactly why they matter. Character is built in moments that will never be posted or praised. The brain is wired to resist effort. It seeks comfort, certainty, and speed. Discipline challenges all three. That is why it feels unnatural at first. But with repetition, the brain adapts. What once felt heavy becomes familiar. What felt impossible becomes normal. This is how transformation actually happens, not through pressure, but through practice. You cannot hate your way into a better life. Shame does not build discipline. Purpose does. When you understand why something matters, you are more willing to endure the discomfort it requires. The clearer the why, the stronger the commitment when motivation disappears. This is where most people stop. They wait to feel confident before acting. But confidence is a result, not a requirement. Action creates confidence. Every small win sends a signal to your nervous system that you are capable. Over time, that signal becomes identity. If you want to change what you believe about yourself, change what you repeatedly do. Your habits are not just behaviors. They are votes for the kind of person you believe you are. And every day, whether you realize it or not, you are casting those votes again. This is not about perfection. It is about direction. Miss a day, return the next. Fall short, adjust the system. Progress is rarely dramatic, but it is always revealing. Stay long enough, and the results you seek will eventually seek you, because consistency has a way of introducing you to your future. Do not rush the process, because becoming always takes time. At some point, you must confront a hard truth. Your environment is stronger than your intentions. You can want change deeply, but if your surroundings keep pulling you back to old behaviors, desire will lose. This is why willpower eventually fails. It was never designed to fight alone every single day. Look at how habits really work. They are not about strength, they are about cues and responses. You see something, you feel something, you react automatically. Over time, that reaction becomes your default. So when people say they keep falling back, it is not because they lack discipline. It is because they keep returning to the same triggers that created the habit in the first place. Think about your day, not the ideal day, the real one. The phone within reach when you wake up, the silence you fill with noise, the moments you choose comfort instead of growth. These choices seem small, even harmless, but repeated daily, they become your identity. Not because you chose them consciously, but because you allowed them to stay. This is where responsibility becomes empowering. The moment you stop blaming circumstances, you gain control. You may not control everything that happens to you, but you control how you design your systems. You control what you place in your path. You control what you remove. Small changes in environment create massive changes in behavior. Put the book where the phone used to be. Prepare the tools the night before. Reduce the steps between you and the behavior you want. Increase the steps between you and the behavior you are trying to leave behind. Discipline becomes easier when the right choice is the obvious choice. There is a story of someone who wanted to become consistent with exercise. They did not start with a gym membership or a strict plan. They started by putting their shoes next to the bed. That was it. Some days they only wore the shoes. But over time, the habit formed, the identity followed. They became someone who shows up. This is how change sustains itself. You stop relying on emotion and start relying on structure. You stop asking, do I feel like it? And start asking, what does the system require today? This shift is subtle, but it changes everything. Eventually, discipline stops feeling like force and starts feeling like alignment. Your actions begin to match your values. And when that happens, you experience something rare. Peace, not because life is easy, but because your daily behavior no longer fights the future you say you want. And that is when momentum begins. Quietly, powerfully, one intentional day at a time. Momentum is misunderstood. People think it arrives after success, but momentum is built before results appear. It is created when you keep going without evidence, when you act without applause, when you commit without certainty. That is why most people quit too early. They expect feedback before transformation has time to work. There is always a lag between effort and outcome. In that gap, doubt grows loud. You start questioning yourself. You start wondering if it is worth it. This is the danger zone, not because you are weak, but because you are human. The brain looks for proof, and when proof is delayed, it searches for excuses. This is where discipline becomes a form of leadership over your own mind. Think of planting a seed. You water the soil and nothing happens. You water it again, still nothing. If you stop because you see no growth, the seed dies underground. But if you trust the process, growth eventually breaks the surface. Daily habits work the same way. Most of the work happens where no one can see it, including you. This is why comparison is so destructive. You see someone else's visible success and assume their journey was easier. You do not see their invisible days. You do not see the mornings they showed up tired. You only see the harvest, not the seasons of preparation. When you compare, you rush. When you rush, you abandon the process that actually works. Here is another truth people avoid. Discipline is not about punishment. It is about self-respect. When you follow through, you send yourself a message that you matter. When you avoid discomfort, you send the opposite message. Over time, these messages shape how you see yourself, and how you see yourself determines what you believe is possible. There will be days when you do not perform at your best. That is normal. The mistake is turning one bad day into a story about who you are. Consistent people do not have fewer bad days. They recover faster. They return to the system instead of judging themselves. This is where resilience is built. Not through intensity, but through return. Fall off, get back on. Miss once, do not miss twice. The power is not in never failing. The power is in refusing to quit. When you understand this, pressure changes. You stop demanding immediate transformation and start respecting gradual growth. You measure progress by consistency, not perfection. And slowly, something shifts. The behavior feels less forced. The resistance weakens. The identity strengthens. One day, without a dramatic moment, you will realize something important. The thing that once required effort now feels natural. That is when you know you have crossed a line. You are no longer trying to change. You are becoming, and what you become is shaped always by what you choose to do today and tomorrow and the day after that. The most powerful force in your life is not talent, luck, or opportunity. It is routine, not the flashy, impressive routines you show off online, but the quiet, invisible ones, the ones repeated when no one is watching. Because identity is forged in these moments, not in speeches or promises. Every day, you are casting votes for the person you will become. Consider this: two people start with the same goals. One chooses to commit to small, deliberate actions daily. The other waits for inspiration or motivation to strike. One slowly compounds effort. The other waits in vain. Years later, the difference is staggering. Not because one is smarter, not because one is luckier, because one understood the power of consistent action. Your habits are the architecture of your life. They silently determine whether you feel in control or at the mercy of circumstance. You cannot fake them. You cannot skip steps and expect results. Systems are unforgiving but honest. Every day, they reward the person who shows up and expose the one who doesn't. There is a story about a musician who practiced an hour a day. At first, progress was imperceptible. Friends asked why they bothered. The musician could not see the change either. But every day they returned. 5 years later, the skill that seemed invisible became undeniable. This is the magic of consistency. Invisible growth becomes visible mastery. And yet we resist. Why? Because our brains crave shortcuts. We hope for dramatic shifts, overnight transformations. But life does not work like that. Change is a patient teacher. It rewards repetition, commitment, and the courage to show up. Even when results are nowhere in sight, it is not about doing more. It is about doing deliberately. It is not about forcing motivation. Motivation will betray you. It comes and goes. Systems don't. They carry you forward even when enthusiasm fades. That is why focusing on daily action is the ultimate leverage for change. Think about your own patterns. Were you mindlessly repeating actions that do not serve you? Where are you consistently neglecting small choices that define your future? Awareness is the first step, because you cannot improve what you do not see. The people who inspire us are not exceptional because of rare moments of genius. They are exceptional because of countless ordinary moments executed consistently. They show up when it is inconvenient, uncomfortable, or unrecognized. They vote for themselves daily, and in doing so, they become extraordinary. This is the invitation before you examine your day. Examine your habits. Identify what is shaping you and take ownership. Because no goal, no dream, no promise of potential will outweigh the influence of daily action. Your future self is being written right now, line by line, habit by habit. And the story will reflect exactly what you choose to do today. Discomfort is the currency of growth. People spend their lives avoiding it, chasing comfort, and then wonder why change never arrives. But the truth is simple: you cannot become different by staying the same. Your comfort zone is a beautiful prison. It feels safe, but it slowly suffocates your potential. Every time you resist the easy choice, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. Every time you choose immediate gratification over long-term benefit, you cast a vote for a version of yourself that is smaller than what you are capable of. Your future is not written by dreams alone. It is written by decisions, often invisible, made when no one is looking. Consider someone who wants to excel in their career. They could wait for opportunities to appear, or they could commit to learning an hour every morning before work. At first, it feels insignificant. Progress is barely noticeable. But months later, they realize that skill they practiced quietly separates them from their peers. That separation did not come from luck. It came from discipline, compounded daily. Here is what most people misunderstand in motivation as fleeting. You cannot rely on it to carry you through discomfort. Discipline, however, becomes a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it grows. And unlike motivation, it does not betray you when life becomes hard. It carries you forward even when your emotions fail. Stories of success are rarely dramatic. They are filled with repetition, failure, and persistence. The person who becomes extraordinary does not do so in a single moment of inspiration. They do it one decision, one habit, one vote at a time. The world may call it overnight success, but the reality is invisible years of consistency. You will fail. You will stumble. You will make mistakes. But these are not signs to quit. They are signs that you are learning. Each failure is feedback. Each stumble is an opportunity to refine your system. Growth does not occur when you get everything right. It occurs when you commit to continue despite imperfection. The power of daily action is underestimated because it's invisible. No one sees the hour you spend reading, the extra practice, the disciplined choice to wake up early, or to resist the easy temptation. Yet, that is exactly where your character is forged. That is exactly where your future self is built. If you want a life that reflects your potential, start by controlling what you can, your choices today. Build systems that remove reliance on fleeting willpower. Protect your habits fiercely, because your habits define your identity. Every day you are casting votes for your future. Choose wisely. Because eventually, those votes become the person you wake up as tomorrow. And tomorrow becomes the life you live forever. Consistency is not glamorous, it is not exciting, but it is unstoppable when mastered. And that mastery begins with the simple, daily choice to show up, even when you do not feel like it. Success is not a lightning strike, it is a slow, invisible accumulation. Most people chase results because they want recognition, reward, or proof. But the reality is this: results follow habits, not the other way around. You cannot build a life by waiting for a moment of clarity or a burst of motivation. You must build it brick by brick, day by day. Think about someone who wants to become physically fit. They do not wake up one morning and suddenly look like an athlete. They eat intentionally, train consistently, rest properly, and repeat this routine long before any visible changes appear. The transformation is gradual, almost imperceptible at first, but relentless. That is the power of systems. Here is a critical truth: identity follows behavior, not intention. You do not become disciplined because you set a goal. You become disciplined because you repeatedly act in alignment with that goal. Each small choice to persist, to resist temptation, or to take the uncomfortable action is a vote for the person you are becoming. Over time, those votes define you. The brain loves shortcuts. It wants instant gratification, quick results, and minimal effort. That is why it will resist habits that truly matter. That is why it will seek excuses, rationalizations, and distractions. Discipline is not about fighting the brain. It is about outsmarting it. You design your environment, automate good habits, and remove the friction for the behaviors you want to sustain. Consider the story of a writer. For years, they commit to writing 500 words a day. Some days, they write 5,000. Some days, only 50. It does not matter. The habit is sacred, non-negotiable. Over time, the output compounds. Ideas flow easier. Skills sharpen. By the end of the year, they have produced more than many who waited for inspiration to strike. Consistency also builds resilience. You will face obstacles, distractions, and setbacks. Daily action teaches you that failure is not a permanent state. Falling behind does not erase progress. Each return to the system strengthens your confidence and your ability to endure discomfort without giving up. The world rewards those who show up relentlessly. Not because they are inherently stronger or luckier, but because they respect the process. They honor the small, daily commitments that others ignore. This is why some people appear naturally successful while others struggle despite talent or ambition. Your habits are your hidden architecture. They shape your mind, your skills, your relationships, and your opportunities. They are the quiet, unstoppable force behind every achievement. Protect them, refine them, and never underestimate their power, because the person you are becoming is a direct reflection of what you do every day. Small, intentional actions compound faster than sporadic bursts of effort. Your future is written in the decisions you make right now, and the habits you choose to protect against the fleeting distractions of today. Become deliberate. Show up consistently, and trust that in time your daily actions will produce extraordinary results that feel inevitable in retrospect. You cannot control everything in life, but you can control what you do daily. People spend too much time blaming circumstances, waiting for the perfect moment, or hoping for luck to intervene. The truth is that consistency outweighs circumstance. What you do every single day matters more than what happens to you. Think about someone who wants to build a successful career. Opportunities may come or go, bosses may be supportive or critical, the economy may fluctuate, but the person who dedicates time each day to learning, improving, and networking gains leverage that no external factor can take away. Daily action compounds even when it feels invisible. There is a story of a craftsman who spent decades perfecting his skill. Early on, no one noticed. His work seemed ordinary. But he returned to the craft every day, quietly improving. Decades later, he became a master admired not for luck, but for his unwavering commitment. This is how excellence is created through repetition, not spectacle. Emotions are unreliable guides. Some days you feel motivated, energized, or inspired. Most days, you do not. If you wait for the right mood, you will never achieve your potential. That is why systems matter. A system does not care how you feel. It cares about what you do. And when you follow it consistently, results are inevitable. Discipline begins where desire ends. Desire will tempt you to act only when it is convenient. Discipline acts even when it is difficult. Discipline turns vision into reality because it operates independently of mood, energy, or circumstance. And that is why people who master small, daily actions become unstoppable. Every habit is a vote for the person you want to be. Skipping a habit is a vote against that identity. Doing it consistently, even when it is uncomfortable, reinforces the belief that you are capable. The mind adapts, the body adapts, the environment adapts. And eventually, the world around you responds to the person you have become. It is easy to underestimate the power of small actions because their effects are invisible at first. But time is a compounding force. 1 hour today, repeated daily for a year, results in 365 hours of focused effort. 1 page written every day results in hundreds of pages. 1 deliberate conversation every day transforms relationships over time. The people who achieve extraordinary results do not rely on inspiration. They rely on routine. They do not wait for recognition. They trust in the quiet, consistent work that builds skill, credibility, and character. This is how ordinary effort becomes extraordinary outcome. Your daily choices are writing your identity. If you want to become someone remarkable, you must start showing up every day in small ways that accumulate into something unstoppable. Excellence is never accidental. It is the product of countless deliberate decisions repeated consistently. What you do today matters more than what you dream about tomorrow. Your life is a reflection of your habits. Protect them. Refine them. And remember, the person you are becoming is hidden in the actions you take when no one is watching. By now, it should be clear success, fulfillment, and growth are not the result of rare, dramatic moments. They are the product of daily action. Every choice you make, every habit you repeat, every vote you cast for yourself shapes who you are becoming. And that is where real power lies. Imagine the life you desire. It may feel distant, impossible, or even unfairly out of reach. But distance does not matter. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is closed one day at a time, one action at a time, one deliberate step after another. Nothing else will take its place. People wait for motivation, for clarity, for permission. But motivation is fleeting, clarity is rare, and permission is unnecessary. The only thing required is a willingness to start small, to persist, and to protect the system that carries you forward. Small steps compound. Repetition creates mastery, habits become identity. There is a hidden law in life: your future self is created by what you do today, not tomorrow. You cannot defer growth indefinitely. Waiting for the perfect moment is a trap because perfection never comes. Action is imperfect, messy, and uncomfortable, but it works. Every time, think about the stories of the most respected people in any field. Their journeys are never linear. They stumble, fail, and struggle. What separates them is that they returned. They showed up when it was hard. They repeated the behaviors others abandoned. They understood that greatness is not a single moment. It is a series of consistent choices. This is why systems matter more than willpower. Systems remove reliance on fleeting motivation. Systems automate good decisions. Systems create a structure where consistent action becomes inevitable. And when consistent action becomes inevitable, transformation becomes inevitable. Every small habit, every repeated choice, every disciplined action is a vote for your future identity. The more votes you cast, the stronger your sense of self. The more capable you become, and the more opportunities you attract. Your daily behavior is the most honest reflection of who you are. So stop waiting. Stop doubting. Stop letting fleeting emotions dictate your life. Take control of your daily routines. Design them intentionally. Protect them fiercely. They are the foundation of everything you desire. In the end, what you do daily is who you become, not your intentions, not your dreams, not your hopes. Your actions. Show up, commit, repeat. And one day when you look back, you will see that the life you always wanted was quietly built by the choices you made when no one was watching. Your habits are your legacy. Your consistency is your power. And your future self is waiting for you to vote for them every single day.